Thank you for tuning in. This is I have here Kevin Brandon with the Real Anglers and a wide variety of projects going on with the Real Guppy program, formerly corporate to now Community Kevin.
Yeah, man, communitykevin.com, man, is what we have now. So Real Angler Network is something that I pieced together. Started with my TV show, Real Anglers Fishing Show, and then I started taking kids fishing. We had Real Anglers Kids Fishing Days. Went nonprofit to help us with some donations. We do a podcast called Real Radio. So everything is under communitykevin.com, and then actually we went incorporated last year with the TV show and the multimedia side. So we have a nonprofit, a for-profit multimedia thing going, and then we do like a newsletter called Real Good Times instead of like LA Times. So even we keep it real. That's kind of what we say. But yeah, communitykevin.com. That way I'm not the guppy guy or, hear those terms, and because nonprofit's not all I want to be known for what I do. It's actually kind of hardest to work as a nonprofit versus a for-profit, and I talk to people a lot about that now, and they, hey, should I do nonprofit? You might be able to do exactly what you want to do without being a nonprofit and all the red tape. So anyway, we just kind of solidified the whole brand, Real Angler Network, communitykevin.com, Real Guppy Outdoors, Real Anglers Fishing Show.
Outstanding. And with the Real Anglers, you have a workshop going on for the kids. Want to talk about that?
Yes, we have our own learning center in the Channel Islands Harbor. Right now, we're doing something called the Guppy Ranger program. We also have another program called Oceans of Opportunity. When I go into the elementary schools itself, or able to break those different packages up or different learning styles depending on a series that I could teach. But it's pretty much been created by myself. The Guppy Ranger program has been in my brain for probably 6 or 7 years. We talk about when we used to meet at the local pizza parlor and do our board meetings. It was like, man, how do we have like a, kind of, what is that, the 3 medals that you get when you do like an Ironman? I know there's like a mask that the kids get. I didn't want to do a different badges like the Scouts, but just something to showcase that you've done a little bit more exploring and also being a ranger, that there's some accomplishments, because we teach a lot of life building lessons and entrepreneurial skills and development through my program, because I know that helped me to get to where I'm at. And again, so how do we put all that together? And this year we finally put it together last year, and it's the Real Guppy, the Ranger program.
That Ranger program is quite a success. There's quite a turnout. It's
pretty good, man. The first time, we talk about success, right? And success, if we have a full class of 20 or 30, or a success, like for instance, just getting it started, right? So we have a little packet with their 5 different fundamentals that they have to hit, everything from fisheries management to stewardship to fishing experiences and boater safety, and then career pathways that we do. So with the different components of the Guppy Ranger program, of bringing that in my brain and then putting it down some type of way that makes sense, and then kind of a little challenging. So that way, again, as a ranger, that you've accomplished a few things. So how do you make it a little challenging, a commitment, and then teaching these life-building skills with it, and then also incorporating a lot of the partners that I've developed I've been doing this 13 years now, plus working on boats since I was a kid, able to utilize all of my resources within the fishing community, guest speakers, different types of law enforcement that's on the water and stuff like that, and bring all that together. And then, like I say, I like to lure them in. I'm using my little air quotes if you're listening to the digital version. Lure them in and then brainwashing them into believing in themselves, like what I do with my brand and being a filmmaker, and my shortcomings from my learning disadvantages or disabilities, or I don't like to use that term, but my learning curves, and how I was able to overcome those using confidence like fishing and life building skills. Again, to just help kind of mentor the next generation. I just get to do it from my platform.
Awesome, outstanding. Yeah, definitely showing a demonstration of utilizing all of your resources and skills and applying them. Application, and
repetition, right? If you something basic of tying a knot over and over again, baiting your hook, casting, and then learning how to cast and kind of getting tangled up a couple times, maybe accidentally hook yourself in the finger a couple times. But again, just learning that, and then when you catch something, then you get to see, wow, look at the little bits of those little confidences add up. So, but yeah, like you say, through representation, through repetition and application, man, I think that's the big key on anything. We talked off air a little bit about, how I grind, and, my days look like, and I think that's just it, man. Execution and repetition, man.
Absolutely, definitely. Routine. And listen, I like how you mentioned that the program is similar to like a Boy Scouts with the merit badges approach and stuff like that. That's super important core values to learn for kids coming up. Like that's another alternative saying to go to, like, say, the boys club or something where there's more structure involved. There's going to be more mental, get their gears thinking going, a little bit more hands-on in the real world situation locally, as opposed to go say. Throwing the fingers up and doing some sort of pledging stuff, the oath, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know. We tell the guppies you take an oath. You know what I mean? It's funny because we kind of use some urban terms that people might hear. Like you do take an oath. You are in. Once you're a guppy, you're in forever. Kind of like a little play on some mafia type of stuff, right? But we do teach that this is some type of a fraternity, right? That you've worked your way through, so that way when let's say I can get you a mentorship. Let's say you come along, little Kenny, and he's like, hey man, I really like. The guy that came out, the Department of Fish and Wildlife guy, then I can put you in contact with him, maybe go on a ride along, get you some mentorship. But if you call in and say, hey, this kid is a guppy, then yeah, that might get you a little bit further because, the character that you have and the integrity and the things that you have. Again, I don't think they give away badges for stuff like that in the Scouts. And some of the reason that I do mine different is I was a Scout leader for my son. I was a Scout as a kid, and the limitations that they kind of put on a kid per different den, they call it. You're a weeble, or you're a wolf, or you're a bear, and maybe you at 8 years old can't do what a 10-year-old can do. But in our program, if you're 8 years old and you can handle a fillet knife to cut bait, why limit your development? You know what I'm saying? So that was one of the things that I put together, and also how many real out in the field exercises that you could get done. Again, start teaching them early on. You could combine stewardship and beach cleanup and coastal cleanup of the fishing day and bring it all together and kind of like spread out events. So I had time to help my coach my son in baseball, which again, for me, like you said, to get away, I have a problem with authority growing up as a kid, so I didn't do a lot of sports either. I kind of got kicked off a couple teams for fighting and stuff because I was a rough little boy. And I remember, I can imagine, cussing at a coach when I was a little kid. Some little kid, like being those kids that are a little harder to reach. And that's why I like to do what I do as well, because I was kind of not even kind of, like for real. I was a kid really nobody could really play with, man. I was always getting some kind of trouble. So I gravitated to one-man sports like bodybuilding and fishing and stuff like that, where it's not so much a team environment and, I'm kind of problem solving on my own. So taking my own experiences, and also seeing how the kids, when I helped as an adult, how do they interact or engage versus leaders just, teaching them and lecturing to them. How do we engage with them more and see what they love to do, and bringing them in as a part of it. So that's how we structured our idea of a Guppy Ranger or the Guppy program for my own, I guess, R&D early on as a kid, and then helping my son, trying to jump in everywhere I could to help him out, because I didn't have a dad really growing up. So sometimes I super dad because I'm trying to compensate for a generation or two of missing fathers. So I get in there and get involved, and then also realizing that there's a lot of those kids out there were like me that grew up in this little neighborhood in our area, in our culture, kind of single parents, or even cultural differences on just like traditional getting in the water or going by the water because maybe you don't swim or go to the beach and use it in an aqua type of way versus maybe just cruising on a Sunday at a lowrider thing, and how to like introduce this resource that we live next to different cultures that might not use it for other reasons, not just economics, but also just, again, a cultural traditional difference.
It seems like a really easy confidence builder for those kids too.
Yeah, man, problem solving, and plus explore, even adults, man. So a little bit more of a history of why I do this. I worked on sport boats since I was a kid, and I still do it right now part-time. And to see somebody walk out, I understand that fishing is a intimidating sport when you see all of that gear. And when they come on a boat and they have a rent rod and some sinkers, and they might just come with a couple of buddies and a lot of fish, and that uncomfortable feeling of asking somebody for help, and they'll tell me, "Oh, don't judge me, I'm new at this." Like, it's always the first thing out of a first timer's mouth on a boat. So when I designed my TV show and my kid program, it was kind of based on those, and then more R&D of me working on sport boats, helping first time anglers out. So even the adults figuring out, maybe that's why some parents don't take their kids fishing, because to walk into a store and get that gear that's intimidating and then tell your kids you can't tie a hook as a dad, you might try to find some other recreation. So there's a couple of reasons why, but from kids to adults, man, that's kind of the Roll Angler Network thing with my TV show, was just introducing it. So there's a great kid component, but just showing people too, there's a kid in all of us, and you could still be out on the water having fun without it being intimidating, So breaking it down and making it simple, man.
Absolutely, definitely. So last year we participated in an event.
State of the county.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Can you elaborate on that event?
So I love going. This is another part that we teach with where we're at with our learning center and our partnerships is again development, right? So politicking versus politics, right? So politicking, Kevin has to go out. I don't mean to talk in the third person. I'm just saying, I know that part of my duty as an influencer and a public figure is to go out and shake hands and elbows and network. And that's a great networking event because it's the whole county. Ventura County is unique as far as agriculture, right? You have different cultures that live here. You have a beach. You have Ojai with the mountains. You have national parks. You have state parks. You have Santa Paula. You have airports. We're on the cups of LA and Santa Barbara. So you have all these different dynamics that are all wrapped up into this little, this different area of people, again, from rich billionaires, through Westlake Village and Agora Hills to Simi Valley, even some of the rich houses that are here on the beach and in the harbors, even Somis and things like that. So we live in a cool place that if you get a chance to go to a state of the county, that you're going to meet, law enforcement, all that stuff. So for us to go to that one, and I was able to take one of my board members so that they could schmooze and check out what we do. But that's an important part of either nonprofit, being in business, plus I like to continue to fill my brain with the topics of what's going on because as a community leader myself and a pretty good track record that I deal with folks, that it is good for us to be able to come together as some of these people that we meet at a table with the same interests but with a different perspective from my life experiences. So, I kind of just bombarded the door when I started learning how to politic, at that level and just keep going and finding myself at luncheons and dinners and other community events where you can shake hands with these people and talk to them and also see you growing as they're growing. And then so everything from networking, but also listening to the terms to articulate back later when I go into the schools or talk to other organizations or other county people, that I stay in tune with what's really going on,
Has there been any red tape you've experienced at the city level?
Not really. The city's been pretty helpful. I mean, I was on the Chamber of Commerce for Port Hueneme years ago as a board member, kind of when I first started in nonprofit, just as a volunteer, as a board member. So I realized that our city, let's back up a little bit further, I'm a local here too, right? So we used to come from, localizing beaches and stuff like that, to how do we actually turn our little city, this little hidden gem, into more of a tourist attraction, Depending on who you talk to locally, some people want it, some people don't, right? That's just the way it's going to be. That's kind of that Ventura County thing, right? Getting locals and from the beaches, and people really like being away from LA, even though we're on the outskirts. But how do these businesses that are local, how do they get tourism money to come in? So I was trying to get some of these small businesses through the chamber to advertise on my TV show that was playing locally, right, as some advertising dollars. But I found myself learning more about the business aspect of it, right? So I was already being able to meet city council members and hear what they're saying about bringing awareness of Hueneme Beach and the pier to out-of-towners to keep, some of these businesses open that might dry up because we don't have enough local business to keep them open, type of thing, right? So I've always had a pretty good communication with the city on all that, right? Again, I'm a city leader, and I bring more people, I think, to this beach than anybody else besides a festival or a dispensary, and then, again, it turns into commerce dollars of how much does somebody spend when they come here, or they found out it for the first time and now they're repeat visitors because they see how beautiful this place is, So I think the city and our stuff, they actually support us with CBF, which is a county benefit fund that we get from the port. They come together on some funding and help us there, and they come to our ribbon cutting that we did, and yeah, they love seeing half the pier filled up on that fourth Sunday when we do our kid day full of people, man. Again, chief of police rides his bicycle through there and shakes hands, and then Steve Magama picking up trash. So, it's a really good thing for our beach, you know what I mean, for visibility and also positive messaging and family engagement, everything that a city would probably want. We get to bring it. So there's always, it's great. Plus, again, me being a fourth generation Hueneme kid, I feel like, even though I used to be, I'm a local, but I used to, tell people that didn't live here not to surf here, to be honest, to be like, now I'm over here, introducing it, you know what I'm saying, to be one of the ones that are be like, come and visit our beautiful place, just respect it. That's all. Don't come out here. But, dude, the beach is great, man, If you're low riding on a Sunday, you see the older ladies walking, at the sunset to the lighthouse or up on the pier, or riding your bicycle with your kids or your family or by yourself, or the homies with their bicycle with the speakers on it, or the Filipinos on the pier fishing, you know what I'm saying? You got a great place to hang out right here, man. Going from kid growing up in this beach to localism and you don't live here, you can't surf here type of thing, to really be an advocate to get our our beach out there to everybody. I mean, we do a little bit of documenting of our participants now, or so we can see like people from Simi Valley where they heard about us and how they come to the beach. So part of us partnering with the city is that they love seeing people packed on the pier, on a Sunday, and then the engagement of community. So I think it's a pretty good that any city would want somebody helping bring that, sharing that what we have here, so people can come in and have fish and chips and hang out and watch the sunset and chill and bring their families and ride their bikes and their roller skates and all that kind of stuff. Like what a beach, what they want to build it up to be. So
Definitely, it's like you're at the ground level of quite a bit of growth to come, in terms of having a continuous show up at that pier. You've had groups of more than 100 go up there and had to come back for more poles.
Yeah, in the last one we had also. Well, what happened was I'm doing Carpinteria State Beach, doing their school too. So I took about 15 rods with me out of stock the other before we did the last pier day. So we were down to our last 3 there, but we have more at Uncle Dave's house. But yeah, the one before, I think 2 before that, the team had to go back to Uncle Dave's and pick up more rods because we bring about 80, and they had to go back and get like 3 more bundles. So, and then that might just be more of the kids utilizing it too, but it's a family engagement program, so we give rods to the families too, the parents, and because again, that way, if they learn together, I've helped out enough kid fishing ponds to realize that just because you put a kid in a little stocked pond area or a little pool area and let them hook a trout or a catfish, does that make them an angler? Or are they going to traditionally fish? Or now the kid just got a picture and a hot dog? So our program, again, is to showcase what you can do as a family fellowshipping and engaging together. So we let the adults fish. We encourage the adults to fish too, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, we are starting to run out. But, before the pandemic, we were over 100 too. And we also realized, though, having that many people, sometimes it's harder for us to teach. So, again, success. We talked about it kind of at the beginning. What's a successful day? If we have 200 people on the pier, we used to think that, or 40 or 50, that we could really get to know each other and stuff like that. So, sometimes being a little overcrowded, I don't want to say it that way, but you know what I mean? Like the crowd sometimes, man, so you're in the ocean too, right? So you have this current, and the current is going one direction with the wind, so we had to have like all 90 people fishing on one side of the pier, because otherwise your line's going underneath the pier, wrapping around the pylon, and start losing hooks and weight. So try to pull off 100 people fishing on one side of a pier that other people are using as well. We get it done. We figure it out. If the kids hook into the pylon of the pier, we just tell them that it's a shark and let them fight it anyway. So fishing stories aren't really lies or exaggerations. So we're like, yeah, I think it was a shark and something. So we even make some fun out of that.
Absolutely, definitely. That's always a good time.
So on top of growth, real quick, let me jump in. There is a huge part right now of us growing, because the Channel Islands harbor that we're at as well is looking to be reconstructed too. So our learning center that we opened up 2 years ago, we're actually going to have a ribbon, or not a ribbon cutting, we're going to have our open house next month. I sent you the flyer to see if you could come out with your equipment. But we might be the first new business at the Channel Islands harbor in the Fisherman's Wharf. While they do the remodel, we could be making history there too, and be one of the first businesses that are there that aren't even run by the little amusement park Carl's Island that they're going to put. So that's historic for me too, man. It'd be like, wow, imagine, I want to be in the picture when I'm stepping on the shovel, and they're doing that first groundbreaking, so that my grandkids could see, their granddaddy up there. You got to have vision. You got to have, it's America, man. People come here, for opportunity, and some of us are born, a lot of us are born here, but no matter what your circumstance is, like my little logo here, the worm catching the fish, means anything's possible against all odds, because normally the fish eats the worm. From my background of coming up and what the relationship I have with the county, with the community shoot and the county and the supervisors, and then to be able to have a little real estate. And I'll tell you a story. One time we were fishing at the channel I'm gonna put them on blast, on the Corinthian Yacht Club. Fishing, me and my buddies were fishing on their dock, and this guy comes down on the dock and he's like, "Hey, get out of here! You can't fish here." And we're like, "Well, I asked him, well, what does it cost to be a member?" And he looked at me in the face and said, "It doesn't matter. Kid, you'll never afford it anyway." And get off the dock. So now we got our little dockside learning center right there in the Channel Islands Harbor by New Look. But those are the kind of stories that I got, that you remember how you treat people and how I treat kids and youth now, because I've been stereotyped as a little badass kid, which I was. But okay, well, I'm just trying to fish, man, and he's getting rid of us. So now, look how many kids I get to help fish and tell them you can do anything you want versus, oh, you can't do that or you can't afford it. I'm on the far other side of that because of what some dude told me when I was like 12, you know, and now we are got some property over there. Again, just to talk more about our growth, where we're going as a incorporation and a nonprofit to be really at the Channel Islands Harbor Fisherman's Wharf, man. It's pretty cool, man.
And how many years ago did you turn from corporate?
Last year we went incorporated. So I was a sole proprietor of Rollingers.
Sorry, from the Orkin side.
Oh, Orkin, when I gave up. Oh, you mean when I gave up corporate America?
Yeah.
I think I'm coming on 3 years, Memorial Day. I turned my keys in on Memorial Day when I finally gave my keys up, you know. And that was an experience of, you know, when I tell people, but, you know, I remember telling God, just give me one more sign, man. You want me to really leave? Give me another sign. I remember I was driving from Fillmore to Santa Paula on that back street, Mountain Drive. I was talking to somebody, and it was like, hey, you're like Gideon from the Bible. You need another sign. You need another sign. And I think he gave me 7 signs that day. And some of it was I was teaching these classes through the pandemic on my phone, and these teachers had me come into their classroom, and they would give me a Zoom link, and I'd take a little lunch break, and I'd put my phone up against my water bottle and teach a class, going through my first book, Catch a Memory, through schools on their lunches. I was taking a lunch to go in a digital classroom during the pandemic. And I thought, this is cool. But I remember I had to like wrap up over my shirt my little Orkin sign and wear something else, you know, because I don't want the kids to see me wearing that. Which I love Orkin. You want to talk about branding? Jeez, the Orkin man with a white helmet, a black tie, and some khakis. You walk down the street knocking on people's doors talking about, you know, I'm here to sell. Especially people don't want creeps and weirdos running up to the door anyway right nowadays. But talk about brand recognition. Mom, the Orkin man's here. Orkin, you know, and also looking at like a culture that they had developed before it went so corporate, and the vision and the mission of Otto that was the first Orkin man, you know what I'm saying, and to chase his dream. So, you know, I look at that time there in learning management and seeing other stuff that I learned from it, you know, my last 3 years in corporate America, to really take notice of branding and management and stuff like that, because I knew I was making a turn. So anyway, I'm like, man, I got to tell my job I need to go part-time. And I remember the day before I went in there, you know, I had to have my sign. God gave me the 7 signs, and I said, oh man, what if they get mad? What are they going to tell me, right? So it was like on a Monday. So then Tuesday, because we had to go in there to get product and chemical on a certain day. So Tuesday I had to go in there to get my material. But Monday night when I got home, I just wrote out a letter thanking them for everything that they've given me, right? I have benefits, and I'm able to invest the money that I made here in the summer routes and overtime into to growing my brand, you know, and investing into my company. So I appreciate this, but I'm just getting busy. And I've been at another place when I was chasing my dream that thought that I had more interest in my dream than I cared about the job. No matter how good my numbers were, the previous branch manager always had some nonsense to tell me because of I went to college to be a filmmaker, man. I'm back to Oxnard College to be a filmmaker. So yeah, I'm working on my career, you know, and for you to put me down, call my show stupid and stuff like that, I already had a hater seeing me trying to go somewhere and throwing shade on it. So, you know, when I was leaving Orkin, some of that played back into my brain, but I was able to write down and thank them. So sure enough, man, I gave them that in the morning, and one manager was like, hey, I know you're on your way. We're Instagram friends, and I know you're on your way where you're going. The other manager's like, man, I really didn't see this coming. All right, we'll talk to you. They called me at 10 o'clock and said, yeah, we can give you Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we'll keep you on as a full-timer. You just have 2 days off, and corporate's willing to work with you because of such a great job you do for this company that we'll keep you as long as you want to stay on 3 days. So it actually worked out. And then, again, I just had to, you know, it's not so, and this is what I teach in the entrepreneurial side of business that we're teaching, is sometimes it's not burn the bridges, but it's burn the ships, right? Put yourself in a situation where you got to stay. So when I left Orkin, I bought me a backpack in case I was going to have to do some part-time pest control, and I sold it because I never had to use it again. But just in case, you know. But sometimes you have to burn the ships just so that you have to fight and battle. You know, I don't know who stormed the beaches and burned their ships, one of the generals, but, you know, sometimes if you really want to make a leap, man, you got to, you know, trust in God. Again, I asked him for more signs, and then, again, I burnt the ships. But I left it on good terms, so if I needed to go back, you know, but said, hey, you gotta go to war, Kev, get out there. So
Right. The courage he gave you. Absolutely. I think that's about wraps it up. I'm not sure. Do you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, I just want to add, again, if you're listening to this and you're on the fence or you're thinking about doing something, I mean, look where you're at, man. You're in your little spot, creating a podcast, right? And it can be nervousome to wonder, should I try it, what to try. You got to burn the first pancake, my daughter said, right? Like, get the temperature right and how much consistency in the batter and stuff like that. Again, I'm a metaphor guy for days. And but if somebody's listening and has that they want to do something and be impactful and they have a passion, again, if you got a regular job or wherever you're at right now, if you're listening to this, man, and you got something that you really want to do or something you might have been doing that you put down for a minute because it was hard, I'm gonna ask you to pick it back up. I'm gonna ask you to encourage you to give it a shot again, and work at it when you can, and not to give up, and really chase your dreams and passions. And I know it's hard, and sometimes it gets lonely, and there's an emotional roller coaster that comes with it for sure. But man, there's something. Look what I'm wearing, man. I got my hoodie on, and this is, I got my own hat on, But my point to that is, if you want to be successful in life, you got to love doing what you do and doing what you love. So anybody that's listening, I just want to give them that factor. It's not all about the dollars and cents, but it's necessary. But again, if you continue, sorry about that. If you continue to go after your craft and keep for development and get some help, and you got a plan and you ain't happy where you're at or what you're doing, or you're getting the fulfillment, man, pick up get back in the game. Remember when you was little kids and you used to play Nintendo? You could lose at that level every day, and you play it again. You never threw the controller out the window maybe once or twice. You stupid game, but you figured out a way to get to the next level, man. So if you got a couple defeats under your belt and something got you, man, hey, get back in the game. That's what I'm gonna say.
That's right. That's it. What's up? We're going to leave links in the description below. Thank you for tuning in. Again, if you liked what you see, please hit the like, comment below, and share. Appreciate it.
CommunityKevin.com. Check it out. Thank you. Let's go.